Hey everybody, this is Billy, Bakersfield Tough, and tonight's the big night. We've been talking about it all week. It's the long-awaited B-Tough Grudge match between Bakersfield Tough editor Lee Jensen and Robby Sawyer. And Lee, I don't think, have you ever been in front of the camera? I don't think you have been, right?
No.
Have we ever introduced you?
No,
right, yes.
not on video. I don't
all right, so Lee does our stuff. Lee does all the drinking stuff and the fun stuff in the magazine. You guys seen him. And so Lee, this match, this is kind of a long-awaited thing, and it all kind of started on a message board, right? Am I wrong here? Something?
Yeah,
explain to everybody.
Facebook. I posted the times of the mods versus Super Streets, and there was, with the exception of one mod, they were within hundreds, and so it wasn't but about 3 minutes later I got a text from Robbie Sawyer, said get a hold of Scott and let's do a match race. Right.
Now you have on there that you've kind of I think on the boards somewhere Flatty Patty or something like that. I've seen you say something about.
Yeah, Robbie on the message board. You know, he said we were all whiners at one point. Just get in our Flatty Patty pieces of shit and go race. And
drinkers too, right? Overweight. I mean, overweight
yeah,
and old, right?
We drink more beer in a day than water, and we're old, and so it's kind of a. You know, it's a grudge match of a lot of different things. IMCA against the street stock, the old guy against the young guy, and you know, I'm kind of a good old boy. Most people around here know I'll help about anybody out, and you know, I'll let Robbie speak for his side of what goes on. But
okay, so I've got some questions. I'll ask both you guys the same question. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Who's the better driver?
You know, probably deep down. Maybe Robbie. I'll be honest. I'll be honest on that. You know, he's probably got more drive, tries a little harder. I think he's definitely more dedicated than I am. I come out here to have fun, and we just get lucky and win some races sometimes.
All right, that's fair. If you do lose, will you ever concede that the IMCAs are faster than the Super Streets? I mean,
we'll have to at that point. I mean,
so you're willing to so you're being fair. I mean, you're being fair. If you lose, you lose, and hey, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there a game plan going into this race?
Yeah, my only fear is with the mod, you know, being able to be up to 500 pounds lighter than we are, actually over 500 pounds, and they can still be legal. The start's a big issue for me. I think I really need to be on my game with the format when it's my turn to start behind. I think I'm going to try and anticipate the start a little bit. Once we get rolling, I think the cars are real equal, but I really am concerned about the start.
What's the weight spread between the two?
Mod's minimum are 2450, and our minimum weight's 3,000 pounds. So
that's a lot of weight.
I know Robbie's car's a little heavier than actually he's over his minimum.
So probably about 500 pounds.
We're right at our minimum with me in it. So
and you do say you're under horsepower, but for the most part, you guys are pretty much under the same rule on the engine package,
yeah,
right?
We're on the same rule, but we only run a 377. I know. I talked to him. He's got a 415 cubic inch motor in his, and so he's probably got us out horsepowered by.
He's on alcohol. You're on gas. So that's not that big a difference. So basically, it's just the weight that and their suspension's different, right? You got a little bit more. You're more like a sport mod.
Yeah, we do have a 3-link. Most cars in the Super Streets are a leaf spring, but we do have a 3-link. And but they're all solid rods. There's no traction cushioning devices or anything like that in there.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens tonight, right?
So yeah, I guess we'll talk to you later.
All right, we'll see. All right. Okay, now we're over here with Robbie Sawyer and the big grudge match race tonight, the B-Tough grudge match, and it's been a long time in the making. And so, what's your side like? How did this all get started? Do you remember how he said it all started with a text message that you gave him?
Well, they posted the lap times after the last race that Street Stocks ran and the Modifieds ran that same night.
Right.
And the lap times were like super close. So he kind of tagged me in a little post or whatever on the computer. And so I texted him and I said, if you think you guys are so close, why don't we just race a mod versus Street Stock? And then here we are.
So this is it. I mean, this is how we're going to decide. And this is now. So are you saying if he wins that you're willing to concede that the Street Stocks are faster than the Modified? So you will never concede that, even win or lose or draw.
Dude, if it's super dry, it doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, they say that the rules are almost identical as far as powertrain. They are identical. They're same rules, same chip, same RPM, same everything, same tire. The only thing is we are a little bit lighter, but
better suspension too. He's
almost on the same.
He's on like a sport mod. He's like on a sport mod.
And then, but they do have way wider bodies, a spoiler, and a nose piece. Okay. So I think it's what they give up in weight, they totally give up. They gain in aerodynamics, whatever you want to call it, body and dimensions.
Now he also mentioned the statement on Late Model Racer about the overweight old guys that drink too much.
Yeah, that's my rule. That's my thing. I think street stock guys are just guys that don't run mods because they're too, what did I say? I said something like they're all too overweight. Oh, isn't that right, Joey Claiborne?
Okay.
No, but dude, the street stock guys are all super cool, and I've raced with everybody that's in that class. And I think I get along with those guys better than I get along with my own people I race with.
Okay, so here's your questions. Ready? These are the same questions I gave Lee. Ready? Who's a better driver?
Out of me and Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that everybody thinks they're the best.
So, your answer?
I think I'm a better driver than Lee Jensen.
Okay, that's fair. I asked you, would you ever concede that if you lose?
Absolutely not. I'm going to make an excuse for
if he wins, would you concede he's a better driver?
No.
Never. Okay, that's fair. Is there a game plan for tonight? What's your game plan? Do you have
same game plan it is every time I show up to a racetrack. Win, no matter what it is.
Right.
Race, freaking.
Now you said you did have a quote. Now I would imagine you're half joking that if he gets out front, you're going to dump him in front of everybody.
I would never disrespect him.
Right.
But if I felt.
If it was down to the final Grudge, like, you know what I mean, it's all, and all the modified guys are watching, depending on you.
I'm gonna get me some. I'm gonna give me a little bit of that street stock.
Okay.
So it definitely would make it interesting one way or another.
Okay. Well, we're gonna cover it. We're gonna have a GoPro on both your cars, and this is a good thing for the fans. Of course, it blew up on the Facebook, and a lot of people are coming to watch this. And of course, I say this is probably about as close to a wrestling match as you can get on dirt track racing. We got a good guy, a bad guy here, and this guy's he's ready to rock. So
it'll be a good deal.
It'll be a good deal. All right. So we're here. We just ran the heat races. Lee, you got the fast time tonight, and then you won your heat, and then you blew it up coming across the line, right?
Yeah, it pretty much laid down coming out of turn 4. I looked down, had no oil pressure, shut it off, coasted across the line, still won.
Yeah.
And but it's terminal for us for the night.
Okay. Well, unfortunately for me. So Lee is not the only one having a good time tonight. I'm having a good run tonight. I won my heat along with Lee, and I got second fast right behind Lee, so there's only one solution. We're going to have to put Lee in the throwdown car, and now I'm hoping that it's a little bit cleaner than I was hoping it was going to be when you were driving your car. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see. We'll get it on.
Yeah, Billy's had to, at this point, qualifying with the second fast car. You won your heat also, right? So it's just, since Billy's nice enough to let me, it's the obvious car to get in and try and get this match race done.
I want to show everybody the condition of this car before Lee gets in it tonight. There you go. So let's keep it that way. All right, this is Billy Lee. We'll get it on.
Thanks, Billy.
All right. We're about to get it on. Well, there it is. We had our grudge match between you and Robbie, and man, you guys definitely had cars that were competitive. You know, they could compete with each other. In fact, I think you turned the faster laps on the second round, and you had to jump into the Bakersfield Tough car, which you've never driven before. Just that's kind of hard to do, probably.
Yeah, it's just a little different. The car was great. I probably didn't perform up to what I could have been, or if you'd have been driving it yourself, you'd have been faster in it probably. They said our second 2 laps, we were the faster car. It just didn't work out. Really no excuses.
You think after driving, do you think, one thing you have to give Robbie credit, he raced you clean, dude. He jumped you on the first start. He says you kind of didn't take off. He did get a good run on the first run on you, but still, he never used you up. I don't think he even touched you, I don't think.
No, he didn't. He kind of slid up. I probably could have roughed him up a little if I wanted, but I sure wasn't going to do that in your car. Probably wouldn't have done it in our car even, but he gave me an opportunity there, and it just is what it is, you know. We had a lot of fun doing it.
The fans were into it.
Yeah,
they loved it.
Deep down, I mean, I gotta wish that I'd have been in my own car.
Right.
In qualifying, I drove it a little faster than you drove yours. It is what it is, though. It's great.
Yeah.
It was great fun. I hope it was entertaining for the fans, and I still think that even though I didn't win, we showed that we're not off pace with it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well here he is. You answered the question. You made some bold statements and you backed it up. And you had actually, you guys had some pretty clean racing. I'll give you that. You guys both respected each other enough. You guys respected each other enough not to bang up your cars, my car. And anyway, but it was a good race. And I think one thing though it did show is that the cars are pretty equal out there. I mean, I think on the second run he had some faster laps, but on the first one you had some good stuff. So I think there's different areas of the. Would you say there's different areas on that track where maybe one car might be better than the other?
I just think that the heavier car can really roll in and through the center better, where the Modified can really get up and go once it gets into the gas. But the whole free spot of the corner, the Modified kind of has to get in and it struggles because it's so light, where the heavier car can get in and really plant the tires in on a dry track. I think on a wet track, they're not even in comparison. We've seen the lap times and they're almost a second off. But when it dries up like that, those cars are just as quick and the slick like that. It's definitely something I was worried about when we went.
Now, of course, you know, you're going to get some people that say, oh, Lee didn't have his car and all that, but reality is you still did a good job on the start. You did it, and you know, I mean, he may have, you know, I think if he would have had some more laps in the car, he might have been a little quicker, but you definitely had a good start on the first one.
Yeah, the first one definitely was a good start. I knew, because I watched him do his little practice laps before he got going, and I saw that he was going to run the top, so I just threw it off in there and did a slide job on him, and I knew I'd clear him. I didn't know by how much, and everybody said I cleared him by about a foot, and it's just kind of textbook, so I'll take it. But not, you know what, if he'd had his car, I still would have been able to do the same thing. He would have still been in the same spot. And the car that he's in obviously isn't no slump, so I mean, it wasn't like he was in a piece of junk by any means.
Right. And tonight, you know, it's a good night for racing. You know, whether people like you or not like you, it was good for the fans. You know, whether they're booing or cheering you, they're out here and they're watching the race, they're into it, they're cheering. That was pretty cool for racing, just in general.
Yeah, it's a good deal. You know what? All those people, you know, it's kind of, they all sat there and they said who wants who to win, and obviously the place was, you could have heard a pin drop in the place when they said my name, and then I got out after winning, and then everybody was cheering after I won, and it's like, you know what, that's what I'm talking about. Like, the place made more noise after I won than it did when they cheered for everybody at the beginning. So that's just the stuff I'm talking about.
Well, maybe you earn their respect a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, you know what, but at the end of the day, I guess we're all just out here doing what we love to do, and I'm glad that we were able to put on a little thing like that. Video should be pretty neat on it for sure.
All right, so the next stop is you in the magazine, and we'll get this posted up, and everybody can check it out.
It'll be badass. I'm excited to see the videos for sure.
Okay, this is Billy, this is Robbie, and this is the Be Tough Grudge match. Here's a winner from Bakersfield Tough.